Um, Finally, we think that there needs to be what is called right of intervention before police and fire pension benefit awards and disability awards. What that means is that when the pension fund, say it's a fire pension fund, and they're going to be considering a disability benefit, if the city has evidence as to whether or not that individual is really disabled, that city ought to have a statutory right to go before the pension board and at the very least just present the evidence to say, hey, we don't think this individual is disabled, and here are the reasons why. Under current law, because of a court decision, the city is only given right of intervention if they're invited in by the police and fire pension board. They should just have the automatic de facto right to go before the pension board, and if they do have that right and they provide evidence before the pension board, then they have available to them review through the court process, which they don't have right now, but which an employee has who's petitioning a pension decision.
Is there reason to think that fraud or improper payouts are a big part of this problem, and they're adding to these costs dramatically for cities like Springfield?
I think that as we looked at the existing pension statute, it was disturbing enough that the anti-fraud provisions worked in there because they are in other funds, and we certainly don't have a quantifiable number of dollars that it might be costing. It just seems to be common sense that if a lot of these other funds require it, and knowing that human nature is what it is, that there probably is a certain degree of fraud going on. We hope there isn't a lot of it, but things are what they are, and we think that if there is fraud going on, it probably is costing money, and it just seems like a very common sense provision we can impose into the statutes to try to address the problem, and I don't know how anybody could oppose that.
We also mentioned those 9 points are all on the website, laid out very clearly.
Can I add one more?
Yeah.
One more point that I wanted to mention. I mentioned the audits earlier and the lack of good regulation that the department is able to provide. It's not as much the department's fault. They've had some staff reductions, but an issue that we do have is that over the past few years, the pension fees that are paid by municipalities to the state to provide enhanced pension services have increased 3 times, sometimes 4-fold. But at the same time, we've actually seen a decrease in the amount of services that we get because of staffing reductions through attrition at the department. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that too. That's an important part of that audit.
Is Joe McCoy?
Yes, it is. That's right.
What's your position with IML?
I'm a legislative associate.
Joe, none of those sound like they would reduce the city of Springfield's liability. Is there anything in the plan that would do that?
Well, we think that before we move forward with anything that's going to try to make any very significant financial dents in these plans, the first thing we need to do is find out exactly what the scope of the problem is. We had no idea what the extent of this problem was until we published our pension study in February of 2007. And here we find that we've got tremendous growth in unfunded liability. So we think that at the very beginning we need to bring other entities in. We need to bring the state in to start conducting the study. We need to have some disclosure to the public and other common sense reforms just to get a sense of how bad the problem is. And at the same time, the PTEL provision would at least provide some additional funding for non-home rule municipalities. Mayor Davlin was up here talking about the different tools that Springfield might have in the event that the commission comes forward with particular recommendations about finance. A lot of non-home rule municipalities, quite frankly, don't have those same tools. Excuse me, I tend to speak a little governmentese once in a while. That's the tax caps.
Okay, and just a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Springfield is doing this, from your perspective as a statewide organization, what do you hope your organization accomplishes through what they're doing as far as publicity about it or whatever?
Well, one of the great things about statewide association is that represents municipalities. Whenever we have good practices that take place within any given municipality, we can use the resources of the association to broadcast that to the rest of our members. So if Springfield has a good idea and they seem to be moving forward to solving a problem, then we can make those particular solutions available to the rest of our membership through newsletters, magazines, our annual conference.
And how big is Mayor Davlin's on the board, right?
Yes, he is.
How many people are on the board for the mayor?
43.
Is Springfield's problem the worst in the state, do you think?
It's among the worst. If you consult the study, you'll see that there are some other cities that are just as bad off or nearly as bad off. But Springfield definitely is in an unfortunate situation, but there are others.
And in your opinion, is it caused completely by unfunded mandates, or did we do something else wrong?
Well, when we wrote the study, you'll notice in the very end we have a very brief conclusion. And part of the reason is because in a situation like this, it's very difficult to say, well, this is the one thing that did it, or this is the other thing that did it. It's really a multiplicity of factors. Of course, state mandates are a significant driver of that, and the Municipal League has been on record for decades speaking against state mandates. State pension mandates are particularly have a particular negative impact on municipalities, because the thing about the pension mandates is if you all of a sudden pick up unfunded liability, say you have a retroactive benefit increase, and you're putting money in that hasn't been set aside to pay for a benefit, overnight your unfunded liability can grow exponentially. And so it has a particularly sharp impact on a municipal finance.
Is Chicago still studying the problem and trying to come up with solutions, or have they finished their loop at the moment?
They're still in the process of looking for the solutions. But as Mayor Davlin mentioned, Mayor Daley is putting together a blue ribbon task force, and they're hoping to come up with some solutions.
What's been the reaction, say, the fund managers to your 9 points?
I haven't heard too much from fund managers. I have to tell you, though, it would be difficult for me to imagine that they could come out and be opposed to ethics reform and disclosure. They may try, but it's a very difficult thing to be against.
Wait till Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Thanks, Joe. Sorry to put you on
No problem.
on the spot. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it.
Mayor Deeb, make a few comments about the budget.
You're watching the Illinois Channel, an independent nonprofit corporation formed to provide gavel-to-gavel coverage of Illinois state government and other public affairs events taking place across Illinois.
Which is wonderful. I mean,
If you have any comments or questions on our programming, please email us at illinoischannel@aol.com. Or if you have any questions about the Illinois Channel, please visit our website at www.illinoischannel.org.
There are some things that